Welcome to Oh Brother, a podcast of three brothers trying to figure it all out. With your hosts, Brandon, Collin, and Aaron. On this week's show, Lovecraftian Thing. Ahoy!
Ahoy!
And happy day.
Indeed. Indeed it is.
Indeed it is. Yes, for sure. Hearty.
It didn't really sound very believable, if I'm being completely honest. I don't know.
That's not what the other people told me.
Is it? I know you better than they do. Sorry.
Yeah,
It's just
fair. Yeah, I know. Fooling ye.
Yeah.
Lucky Charms. Anyway,
I win in the I've known you longer category.
Fair.
So
fair. Yeah, it is not quite not quite fair for others. Oh my, it's hot.
It is terribly hot. I don't like it.
We lost power last night, which was not fun. Because it was 107. And got quite warm. Quite warm. Also, my children and I are used to, because we're those people used to falling asleep with a sound machine. That's fair. Which can't have when there's no power. So
that's me. I do that too. I don't have a sound machine. I'm old school. I just turn the TV on, right? But like really low.
Yeah.
Right. So like my television volume is at like 3. So it's like you can barely hear it. Or maybe 4. I don't know. It's like around there.
Sure.
So like you just hear, and I always put it on like whatever, right? It's nothing like super important, right? There's a couple fall asleep staples television channels, right? But they throw them on there and then boom, done.
Yeah,
right?
as one should.
Yeah. But fair. I also like the sound, right? Otherwise it's just like dead quiet in my house and it's like weird and I don't just lay there.
Yeah.
Awkwardly. It's terrible.
Weird tangent here. A feature
the only kind we like.
Yeah. A feature that did I say it's hot? That is missing from TVs these days. The small little TV that I had in my bedroom growing up had the best feature on it. Do you know what this feature I'm about to say here? Do you have any idea?
Is it the sleep feature?
Okay, so that one is also good. Equally as good, an awake feature. You could have an alarm for a TV. Yes, you could set the TV to turn on at a set time.
That's better.
Way better. Way better.
See, I don't like the sleep feature. I've used it before, but like it's never long enough. And like, I'd like just go to sleep and then all of a sudden it goes off and that wakes me up.
Oh,
and I don't like that.
No,
it's annoying.
No, I will say,
I didn't know you had an awake feature.
Yes. Now, if you are the type of person who falls asleep to a TV, having it as an alarm clock, not helpful, right? But
because it's on already.
If you are somebody like me who can fall asleep with the TV, but I struggle. But if it turns like voices and stuff will awaken me. This was great because also I don't know. I need to dive into this because also it wouldn't just come on at the volume that it was. It would like slowly come up to the volume that you had at the.
Well, they say that's good though.
Yeah,
like those alarms that like start low and then like come up and even those those are supposed to be better.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, because it doesn't startle you. And the time, and it was always, of course, waking up. It was always like a news channel, so you just wake up to people talking and a news segment. So it's very like inoffensive.
Shocking. Like,
and you're just kind of like, oh, okay, that's great. Nice. This feature, I don't know. I don't know if I don't really know.
I didn't know that TV did that. I don't remember that.
Yes, it was great.
Wow,
wonderful.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah. So I like that a lot. In this instance where we had no power, what I did was I took my laptop and I tethered it to my phone and I started streaming a YouTube channel.
It was like nature sounds ones or whatever.
And I just had the speakers cranked all the way up and just set it in their hallway.
Yeah.
It was like, there you go.
I like those. I don't like those things when I fall asleep because like I found that this is going to sound like weird, but like the voices are what is calming. I think I like the talking, right? This is odd. It's very weird, but like the nature ones don't relax me, right?
Oh, interesting.
But like those, like the ambient noises, like the library and the thunderstorm thing, right? Or like all those ones.
Yeah.
Like those don't relax me. But what I do sometimes is I will listen to that stuff while I'm reading. Right. So like today, Susan was like watching TV and like doing stuff, like cleaning and stuff. And so when I was finishing reading my reading for later, that's what I listen to in my headphones because it's like just loud enough to like block out ambient noise from your surroundings, but it's not distracting.
Yeah.
Right. It's not like I can't listen to music and read because I will focus only on the music. Right.
Yes.
I'll like start humming and I'll stop paying attention and I'll be like listening to the music. I've tried that before, like reading with like classical music and stuff. It doesn't really work. I don't like to do that. The one exception I find that reading with like classical music, if you are reading like Sherlock Holmes, it's just very atmospheric because Sherlock Holmes is a big fan of classical music, right? So what you got to do is you got to pair your ambient sounds to the book, right? This is the thing I start doing, right? If I'm doing this and I'm reading a book that's like set in a city, I will listen to like ambient city noises, right? And then if I'm reading like, let's just pretend I was reading The Hobbit, you read like ambient like mountain stream. That's what you put on, right?
Yeah.
So it's like a thing that I do every once in a while to just kind of like zen out and go into the book, right? I'll listen to something that's like tangentially related, just like atmospheric noises, not like anything interesting. But I do that sometimes. That's what I did today. I was listening to like mountain lake. Gee, I wonder why I was doing that. But like mountain lake. So it was like the wind on the lake and like birds chirping and stuff.
Sure.
Yeah. So it's very nice. Just like relaxing in the mood. But I can't sleep with it because it's not. I've tried like other stuff. Like I even tried like the white noise thing. I tried like sometimes if I can't sleep, I will like I've tried a lot of that stuff on like YouTube, right? Like some of that stuff I've listened to like all kinds of things. But like talking just does it to me. Like boom, done. I'll just like listen. Sometimes I will listen to just like really random stuff as long as it's long and somebody talking. Some of them are like they're like going on and on about like medieval swords. I don't care. Just boom. Just somebody talking at a steady pace. I'm out. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's I listen to the TV too much, right? And I'm just like conditioned myself to need TV noises.
Tisk, tisk, tisk.
So like the narrator on like nature shows is just like my trigger for napping. Right. Or like whatever. Well, a good fall asleep show are those shows about like game wardens from like the Animal Planet. Because just like it was not really like action packed. It's like dudes walking around like checking people's deer tags. But or like, hey man, I see you caught a lot of fish there. Let me see your license.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of it. And the occasional like, there's a bear in this tree. So like it's just enough talking. And when it's like down really low, it's just kind of like in the background. Boom. That's all. It works. That's the thing that works for me. I found that is what it takes. It's really strange. It's really weird. But that's what
I have a playlist of soundtracks from video games because
yeah.
most video games have a soundtrack baseline somewhere in the background, and it's supposed to be inoffensive. It will have moments where it swells to thematic points, right, and to point out and highlight stuff. But a lot of times there's just background music playing at a very like very background level. That's I have a whole playlist of those I listen to when I'm reading or when I'm trying to focus or studying or doing again engage mental gears. Right now I need to focus on this. I I have or listen to lo-fi hip hop is something that I listen to a lot.
That's the stuff that I play in my classroom. Like when we have like work days and we're working on projects, not every day because not everybody likes it, but some days I will that's the stuff I turn on. Like video game soundtrack stuff is really good, right? Not like Halo because it gets real intense, but like, your Zeldas, there's lots of good ones. Yeah. But even like the chiptune stuff, like if you want to just like have nice background music, but it's still like fun, Sonic. I recommend Sonic the Hedgehog. That's good stuff.
Yeah, it's to the point now where when we're doing homeschool days, doing the schoolwork and stuff there, Lillian will come in and she's like, I need you to play focus music. And I'm like, okay, yes, here we go.
Yeah, that's what I do. I do that when I'm at work, right? It does have to be, again, something that's like that's just like unobtrusive in the background. Otherwise, I focus on the music too much. I'll be like, oh, yeah. Sometimes I do it anyway because some of those lo-fi things are awesome. But like,
fair. I do find myself, focusing on them too much, but it's
if you turn it down low enough, it's not so bad.
Yeah. Right. So, although one time I had on my phone and I was playing it and I forgot to turn it off, and when I got in the car, it connected, and it was the bass, like it was like really low volume.
Oh,
but I could hear it, and I was like, "What is like? Where is this coming from?" And I had that moment of like, "Is this it? Is this the break of my life?" Like, okay,
it's playing inside my head now.
It really was. I was a bit concerned. God.
That's a Twilight Zone episode. I think I feel like that's probably in there somewhere.
Pretty sure it was
like a Lovecraftian thing, like the King in Yellow, right? Yes, listeners, I know the King in Yellow is not written by Lovecraft, but it's in the same genre. Okay, so there we go. Boom.
Yeah. The thing that is what kind of made it is the ish, right? It was the Lovecraftian ish aspect of that.
Yeah. So maybe that's what people are listening to the show for. Maybe this is their bedtime aid. Good night, listeners. I hope you took your medicine.
That was creepy. Moving on. No, none of that.
Oh, come on, that was good.
I have injured myself, which is always fun.
In what particular way?
Let me tell you. Okay, so it was this morning. We were going to get in our car and we were going to drive into Kansas City to go to a jump park, which is always fun just for the day. Go jump, have lunch, or a little, come back, right? And I was like, I am jumping today. I haven't jumped with the kids before, right? I am going to jump. So I was super excited. I knew I had to buy.
House of Pain played in your head?
No, I was. I had an interview for something early this morning, and I finished that, and I came downstairs, and I'm like, wow. And Megan had gone and got coffee, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And then I was coming through the kitchen, and from our kitchen into our dining room, we have a little butler pantry thing, and we keep a baby gate there because it's to keep Kobe in the kitchen because he's old and sometimes he has accidents.
Yeah, that's what we do. That's what we used to do with Chuck. Whenever we went to work, he just lived in the kitchen,
put him in the kitchen
food and stuff. Yeah.
Right. Well, I was coming around the bend as one does, and I put my left foot down, and I was going to put my right foot forward, and my left foot hit a pea spot on our kitchen floor, and my left foot shot forward
and
took my foot.
I thought you were just gonna kick the baby gate. I've done that before. That hurts too, but oh no. Slipped in dog pee. The worst.
Yes. And my foot jammed not just into the baby gate. No, sir. Underneath the baby gate. It took my big toenail and just went wonk.
Ow.
Yeah.
I had like the extreme, like barely the same version. I like came around the corner and kicked a box a little bit yesterday. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
I was like mildly stubbed my toe. Sounds like you have died.
And I just crumpled, and I don't like. I was just like, argh! Now here's the great part. I didn't spill my coffee because I'm a master at this.
Right, slosh dynamics in action.
Yes, yeah, and circular motions to keep it anyway. Yeah. And so, but I did. I just was like, oh my gosh, and like on the couch with ice on it, and just like, well, no jumping
for me. Dang it. It's unfortunate. I wanted to hear the report of Collin jumping. This sounds very exciting.
So, at the jump park, it's just a bunch of trampolines, right, that have the padding around them, and they're at floor level. And have you been to a jump park before?
No. Why would I go to a jump park? I have heard of them. The children go.
Okay.
My kids go, like my students go. So I know what they are, kind of.
Okay. Yeah. So it's where you walk in and everything's floor level. But in the floor, instead of where there's normally flooring, there's just a trampoline. So you can like run and jump on it. And then some of them are stretched into a curve, so they kind of curve up the wall. So you can run, jump, and kick out and do a flip and stuff. They have this one, they've got a basketball area, so you can kind of do some stuff. And then they have like a Ninja Warrior obstacle course thing. But the best part about this, which was what I was secretly really excited about, was they have a foam pit that you can swing out into and jump out of and land in this foam pit.
Oh, nice. Like those like the learning pits when they do like is it like with the big square foam
big things? Square foam thing.
Yeah. Yes. So like when you learn like BMX tricks and stuff, that's what they put in the parks, right?
Yeah.
Or those like big warehouse things or whatever.
Yep.
Like Woodward or whatever. Like
or you see them in when people are learning like gymnastics, they'll put those out underneath the things where you do the big kick, twirl, spin over that, and you don't have to worry about landing yet. You're just doing you're practicing.
You're getting the air motion. Yeah.
Yep. They have a segment that has a big swing, and you can just push like the Dickens and then leap off into and just fly with abandon. I wanted to do this. However, I wasn't able to do this because my toe was injured. But at that station, they have a trampoline there, so you can like jump and like get a really good going thing. And so while the kids were swinging, I was jumping on the trampoline.
Hey, all right, it's warming up, right? Like getting warmed up, working out the body. I don't really know gymnastic terms, right? Like getting
something, right? Something was happening. Something was brewing and cooking.
DM Simone Biles. Simone, help us out here. We need help.
So that's what we did that. And it was a lot of fun. And then we came back home. It was just so hot. I was driving back, looking at the temperature of the outside, and it was like 100 all the way back. And I was like, that's gross.
Yes, that's very gross. I have another tangent for you. I may have mentioned this before, but there is a rather exciting physics paper that I once read. And I have the abstract pulled up here. I remember what it's called. It's called Walking with Coffee, Why Does It Spill? By H.C. Meyer et al. And it's like they are like looking at the problem of like from the abstract, the studied problem represents an example of the interplay between the complex motion of a cup due to the biomechanics of a walking individual and the low viscosity liquid dynamics. It's basically about like how acceleration moves fluid in a container.
It's amazing.
It's really good. And so I would just like to recommend anybody who's interested in physics or likes coffee, you should read it because it's a good time. There's beautiful diagrams in this thing. It's really good, but it's talks a lot about like fluid dynamic, like acceleration. Like your initial step is the most important because that's what starts the liquid moving inside the system, right? So there you go. Some light reading if you're interested.
Yeah. In case you were wondering, yeah. Oh, this was by Mayer and Krichnetnikov.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay.
Here's another one. Here's another. This link is better. Yeah, there's the one. H.C. Mayer and R. Krichnetnikov. Yeah. Published 26 April 2012. It's a good read.
Hey,
I like it. But
we had and when I was in Arlington, we had a professor there who had this problem immensely of going into the office of the graduate school there, filling up his cup of coffee because they provided coffee there, and then walking back to his office and leaving what we called chippy trails.
Oh no!
It was a thing of his last name. So you always knew where he was, right? During the day of like, when did he arrive? Well, you could just go and literally stand at this intersection.
How dry is the coffee on
and
the floor?
Look at the floor. And
he just passed this way not 5 minutes ago.
Yep. And so it was like
track him down through the
it was so fun. You would track him down based off of where these led.
Hilarious.
And you would just kind of like discern where his day was. Like it was fantastic. So I feel like I need to send him to Scotland.
Pretty good. Give
him some great help with that.
Yes. The science of the slosh. That's what it says here. So there you go. That's been I'm not walking far enough with my coffee currently to have this problem.
Oh,
doesn't really slosh too much on the way to the couch. It's very, not a lot going on this week, really.
Yeah.
I guess Susan and some of her friends are having like a joint garage sale. They're like, their powers combined. Right?
Oh.
And they're doing like a Captain Planet garage sale thing going on here. So she's been like looking around and digging out old stuff and that kind of stuff. So she's been doing that. I've been hiding, staying out of the way, trying not to get sold off to the lowest bidder.
Sorry.
That's right. It is once again Shark Week. A little early this year, but that's exciting. I gotta say, Jason Momoa as the Shark Week host, probably the best host they've had for Shark Week in an extremely long time. Like, he's so much better than literally everyone they've had the past, 5 years. I can't remember who else has been on there, but way better than The Rock. Way better than just a ton of it's so good. This is refreshing. Thank you, Discovery Channel, for making it not cringy and horrible. Right? It's always really good.
Oh, why? What makes it? Is it just his personality? How he's engaging?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's just so chill. Right? He's just such a chill dude in general. Right. And yeah, I think it's his personality, right? He's funny, he's pretty chill, and he seems to be actually genuinely interested in sharks and stuff. So he's having fun and he's not trying too hard, right? Everybody always tries too hard. They're always it's really forceful and it comes off as really weird and cringy, right? To quote the youths, right? That's the word they would use here, I imagine. So it's very
good job.
Very good. It's very good. It's a good one. I'm enjoying it. Right, lots of varieties of shark. Right, it's very nice. Right, so watched one last night about the giant hammerheads. Susan's favorite shark, by the way, just so you know. That's on.
Well, it's a good one. I mean, if you're gonna do it, I mean,
yeah, right. It's a good one. So that's pretty much what we've been doing, and it's Women's World Cup time. Way. So that's fun too. We'll see how that goes. They're playing right now, actually. So we'll hear if we hear shouting from the other room. Susan watching them. See how it goes. Playing the Netherlands tonight.
Up one.
The fierce rivals of the Dutch. Right. So we'll see how it goes.
Okay. I was going to ask who you're rooting for, but you know.
Well, you know, it's obviously the girls, but you know, we'll see how far they make it. The first game, not gonna lie, it didn't look just like wonderful. They won against Vietnam, but like wasn't like the best I've ever seen. So, you know, opening game though, so you got to take that into account. That's a whole separate thing. You know, the first game of a tournament could be, you know, nerves and stuff. So matters later, but you're always like really confident because you know they have a history of like being very good. But I did watch Germany play the other day. Oh, right. I watched Brazil play a little bit the other night. You got to take into account who they were playing, but they look a bit scary. So got to keep an eye on them and see how.
Oh no!
Yeah. They're just like Brazil's really fast. They're just like oh no, not fast and accurate passing. Oh no, that's not good.
just no. Oh jeez,
the dreaded combo.
Right.
Susan makes fun of me a lot because I will yell things at them right all the time, and she'll be like, "They can't hear you." I think it's fine. They need to run at the post. They need to run. Somebody needs to be running at the back post all the time. Right? Just do it. Just run at the back post. It'll be fine.
If you don't run, what are they going to do? Right?
Yeah. When they miss the cross and it goes wide, you could have been standing right there, but no, you decided to not run at the back post. Just run. Just run at the post. That's all I need.
So how far are they into the tournament? Did you say?
I just started. So
okay.
This is their second game. So
okay,
we're not into the nitty gritty yet. We're still in the opening round, the group stage, I believe. So
I see.
Not real far. It's kind of, you know, just the beginning. Like it just started like last week or whatever.
Cool.
So maybe last weekend. I don't know. It was like the same day the Tour de France got over. I think it started same time, which was really good this year too. Just, you know, sports recap of July. Tour de France was excellent.
Sounds like
it. It was insane. Did you see any of the highlights or anything?
It's been a couple days. I did not stay up to date with it towards the end. So,
well, it's all right. Basically, up until like the time trial, which was like the last week, right? First and second were 10 seconds apart.
Wow.
After 2 weeks. 10 seconds.
That's intense.
It was so intense. It was crazy. So I was really like entertaining. It was a good one. Right. Tade lost a bunch of time in the time trial and then sort of mildly died on a mountain, but you know, it's fine. He still got second. His teammate got third. Shout out Adam Yates. Good job. Good stuff.
I did read an article about the different of how much the bike tech has changed.
It's insanity.
Since they were comparing, I said this to you, they were comparing Chris Froome's 2013 to Johanna's 2023 bike.
Oh yeah, the Cervelos, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
I started that article today, but did not finish it yet. So
Okay.
yeah, there you go. Thank you.
No, it basically was like the biggest difference that affects everything is aerodynamics. And it was like, right.
You can definitely tell because like this year, I also just like the cycling in general is very different than it was when I started watching the tour. And like Susan and I were trying to calculate this out. I believe the first year we watched it together was 2011. I think that's right. Because we definitely saw Cadell Evans win. And I'm 100% sure of that. So we at least watched the 2011 Tour de France. And we've watched them all since then. But like the style of racing is insanity. Right. Like this whole year, they were going so fast on every single stage. Like it didn't matter. Like it took breakaways like half a day to form. Like I don't know what are they. They're like racing every single day. Like it's like Paris-Roubaix or something. It was crazy. Like guys, slow down a little bit. You're not gonna live through this.
No,
it was wild.
Wow.
And to juxtapose that even further, I found on YouTube a highlight film of the 1953 Tour de France. Oh, baby.
Oh my.
It was narrated in Dutch, which was very humorous. It had subtitles though, so that's good because I don't speak Dutch. Even though Dutch as a language is very confusing because like it sounds familiar, but you still have no idea what they're saying. It's just like somewhere between German and English enough that you're like, these words sound like I should know what they mean.
Right.
But I don't.
I should know what's going on. Right.
But I watched the 1953 tour highlights. Holy cannoli.
How many smoke breaks did they have?
A lot. Like they would just wear bike inner tubes crisscrossed around their shoulders, right? And so if they had a flat, they would hop off and like change their tire, right? Even though there are cars and stuff, there's like I guess team cars,
sure,
technically, because they were like the feed zones, like they did have the little musette bags, right? But like they also had just a field where the riders would like get off the bike, go over to the table, grab the food.
Wow.
Right? Come back over to the road.
My gosh.
It was nuts. I was just watching it. Like it was like a 2-hour thing. It's like so I was skipping through it. Right?
Oh, sure.
I was just because no. But it was like a recap of like every stage. And so you could like skip to the little parts and stuff. And these guys are crazy.
Huh.
Like none of these mountain roads have any pavement anywhere. Right?
Sure.
No, nothing.
And they're just
flying.
Yeah.
On these
without
big
abandon.
old steel bikes. Right? Like the very rudimentary derailleur system. Right? You can't really tell how many gears are there, but I'm guessing by the way they're pedaling, not a lot.
No.
Right?
No, there's not a lot of difference between those.
Just a couple. It was wild. So I watched that yesterday. Like the news car, it was funny. There was like a whole bunch of old Citroens, right? Obviously. But there was like a big Citroen convertible, and in the back was a dude with a typewriter.
Well, because as we know from Top Gear, right, they use the Citroen to film the horse races.
Yeah. Well, and also the Tour de France, apparently.
Yes,
right?
Apparently, because of their suspension.
Yeah. A long history of motorcycles being in the way at the Tour as well, right? There was a thing where it was like there was one shot. It was like the camera in the car drove by the motorcycle, right? And there's a dude on the back, like riding on a reporter pad. And the driver is driving with one hand and taking pictures with a camera with
Oh. It's not what you're supposed to do.
Somewhere, Peter Sagan is very angry at the 1953 Tour de France for the motorcycles being in the way, yeah, it was wild, right? Johnny Hoogeland is looking at these cars going, that is not safe. Get these stinking cars out of here.
Right. Why are you here?
So that was just really interesting to see those two things back to back to back together like that. Like, oh my gosh.
Jeez, that's crazy.
Yeah, watch like stage 20 of the Tour de France and then watch like the 1953 tour. Like, wow. Wow.
Yeah, speaking of how things have changed.
Crazy. But yeah, tour was good. So that's basically what I've been doing. Watching sporting events in July, staying inside because I'm not going to ride my bike outside. No.
See aforementioned discussion about it being hot.
Yeah. It's 100 degrees outside. I don't really feel like riding my bike anywhere.
Brutal.
Even on the flat roads that are off to the side over there. I'm not going over there.
No. Don't need that.
No. Yuck. So what else you been up to other than breaking your foot? And practicing warming up for your return to the jump park.
It's been been about it.
Hey, this is a nice change of pace.
It is. It is. I mean, this is considering how the past 3 months it was like, well, I was doing a lot. But it's weird being back kind of home, swing of things. Still, trying to find time for different projects and stuff as they come up. The biggest one has been internet. We've been having these random times. Well, you've experienced it where it will randomly cut out. And
I have also experienced that on my side.
Oh my gosh, it's been increasing frequency, right? So I was on the chat with our internet provider, and I was like, "Hey, these things are happening, blah blah." And I'm a weird person. Okay, so I'm sorry. We run our own modem and router. We don't use one provided by the company. I just don't want to. I'd rather have more control, more features, be able to upgrade it, change it as we need to. And it's been great. It's been fine. It's been rock solid. I've run my tests, but on their end, of course, their hands are tied, and I don't expect them to diagnose any of my hardware problems. And I do try and come across it by saying, like, I'm not trying to blame everything on them. I just want them to check their end, right? That's all I'm wanting for. I'm not saying that it's your fault. I'm just saying, hey, I'm having these problems. Could you see things? And of course, they're like, well, looks like you're using your own router, and we don't support that. And I'm like, yeah, I know. It's fine.
Doesn't everybody use their own router?
No,
really,
because most of the time, right? Well, right now, what they did was they just raised everybody's rates a little bit, and now they provide you the equipment for free, quote unquote. So now you can, or at least this one does. This company does. Yeah. So you can get a free modem router combo, and but but they just raised everybody's. They just built it in, and that's the easiest way to do it, right? Like you just raise prices by $1 across your 300,000 or whatever more millions of subscribers, and just that way people don't have to worry about paying you an extra $10 a month to rent the stupid thing, right? So whatever. Anyway, they were kind of kvetching, and they were like, well, we'll send you a router to use. And I was like, no, it's not what I want. I just need you to check your end. And finally they got me over to this person to check our end, and they were like, yeah, I was reviewing your log of transmission, and there's definitely an issue with the connection. That the pattern of whatever is indicative is what we see when there's an issue at the line coming into it. So I was like, was it? I just want you to check. That's what I did.
I told you.
Yeah. And then they're like, we'll send out a tech. And then they did the like, oh, looks like you're on the such and such a plan.
Oh no.
For the same price,
No.
we can get you into our gigabit plan. And while the tech's coming out, it can just install that for you. Just install that. What do that? And I was like, no, I don't know, because when you go to that plan, you do have to use their own system because control of it.
Yeah.
And I was just like,
it's also like it's the same price for now. Right. It's like
exactly.
In 6 to 8 months, it won't be anymore.
It won't be. Right. And then because I remember, what happened was we had a 12-month plan. It was one price. And then every 4 or 6 months after that, it increased by like $5 or $6.
Oh, wow.
So that, and what it did though, is that after 24 months, it brought it up to the full price is basically what it did. Is they did a slow ramp up.
Okay. So it didn't just like jump. Okay.
No, it went now. It was like, we're going to stair step you up to the full price in hopes that you would be like, wasn't it was it, huh? Was it, I'm not, I guess that's what it was always, whatever.
In case you wouldn't notice. I see.
Yes. And I was like, no, our speeds are fine. I just need them to work. Okay.
Yeah.
That's all I'm asking for. Plus, the other reason we use their system is the line for the Wi-Fi either enters into our basement or our master bed, which is on the second floor. Those are the two access points for
perfect.
Which is terrible for Wi-Fi because it doesn't bend down, right? And I know it's not how it goes. So we have a router that has like multiple, like has extension points that actually do create a mesh network to cover everything in between.
Yeah.
To create more cohesive. It's a little bit slower than just like one uber duper powerful router kicking out, but
it's more consistent though, right? Because it does go around corners that way.
Yes.
Like it doesn't like like how we only have one like router, but like, for our little apartment, that's all we need. But like, you do have to take into account like doors and corners and stuff like that. So it's
yeah. I'm vertically, I am 30 feet away from where this access point comes into my basement. So it's like, or more than that. Cause again, I'm on the second floor. It's way all the way down in my basement and it's an old home. So who knows what these walls are made of, and everything's plaster, which nothing travels through plaster. So I'm like, no, I thank you for the offer. I'd really rather this just work.
I'd rather just keep my thing.
Please. I just want this to work. That's all I want. Please.
It's a hard task, right? Having things that work.
I know.
Who knew that was such a so demanding. Want your stuff to work properly. Oh, how dare you?
I know. We're people they just want what they want, and it's oh my gosh, whatever. Right.
I know that's where we're at, right? Like I'm such a like I'm such a person that's like, if it's working, I'm just gonna like leave it there. Right. And so, but like then I've had the same thing for like ever.
Yeah.
Right. And so like now it's like, okay, well, it's not really working that great. And one of the reasons is because it's mega old in like technology terms. Right? And so it's like, crud. Now, like, I don't want to chase the thing and like buy and like do all that stuff like all the time. So I know we got money for that. So like, this is what I'm like, it's working. I don't worry about it. I'm just like, it's fine. It's working. And then all of a sudden one day it just won't, because it's like, oh, nope, it's too old. You're like,
yes. And
that's what we had to do with our like TV thing, right? Because it was like, we had the old one.
Yeah.
And it was fine. And like, you want to upgrade? Like, no, it's working. It's whatever. And then like, because it was cheaper and we already paid for whatever the stuff. And then like, and then we get like a thing. It was like, hey, your thing physically won't work anymore if you don't
get
the new thing.
Yeah.
God dang it.
Yeah. And so yeah, so one of our things is like when we bought our Wi-Fi stuff, it was but that was like that was like 7 years ago when we were doing that. And I no, we bought 5 years. That was 5 years ago. And we bought the modem around the same time. But now the internet speeds and stuff that they're offering and the connectivity of everything is like way past even 5-year-old technology. And I'm like, but
Yeah.
I don't want to reinvest in all of that. I just want what we have to work, right?
Yeah.
It's
a big reinvestment, and that's an annoying thing to have to do every few years. That's not something I'm interested in doing.
no, I want to buy, like when we bought our thing, like we kind of tried to buy ahead a little bit to give it some legs. And, we're 5 years
Yeah.
on in it and it's working fine. But also, like, if we were to increase internet speeds, it wouldn't work for that anymore. Like, that's where it is. It's just like, no, I wasn't
Yeah.
built for those speeds. What are you talking about? And you're like, hell, no.
Yes. It's very frustrating and annoying, but oh well.
De la vie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what we're doing. We're continuing to keep our foot to the floor on hiring in both locations now. And because we know we've got some changes potentially coming up, just like some predetermined known things.
Yeah.
Nothing like no
Surprising.
last minute stuff,
Yeah.
right? But like, okay, we have to get ahead of this. We've got to do these things. And so I'm going to be doing some more interviews, in-person interviews for those things. The other aspect is one of our struggles that we've been really just like banging our heads against the wall in is is new client onboarding. How do one do why process steps things, right? Um, of like of, on one hand, we want to make this as super simple and easy as possible and just like basically have a wide open door where anybody comes in and we service. Like that'd be the best. However, we do have criteria and filtering necessary. We do have knockout questions that we have to ask. And now when people come on, they contact us either through phone or through our website. I always call them back and talk to them more about their needs and questions that they have, and then say, okay, you'll need to go to our website. And if you've already filled out the form, we're going to activate your account. If you haven't filled out that initial form, we're going to activate your account. You're going to get an email and it's going to take you to put together your profile. And there's a lot of questions here that about your home, about each one of your pets, their likes, dislikes, feeding requirements, where they sleep, where they're stressed out about, what are their high value retreat and rewards. And you're going to fill all of that out. And then we'll do where we come to your home and then you can book the service. And that's a lot of steps to ask somebody to walk through, right? Like that's especially somebody who's like, I just need a dog walker. Right? I just walk my dog, just walk my dog. And I'm like, wonderful, great, happy you're here. Here's 17 things you need to do. And like I can do that. I can. That's exactly what we do. Go through these steps. And because we've had issues in the past where people said one thing or they didn't disclose issues with the dog, we have these questions in there. We have to ask them so we can hold their feet to the fire if that happens. And we get these initial inquiry forms and we're like, yeah, this is not a good fit, actually. No, I've got to call you and tell you, no, we can't move forward with this. And we get pushback from people who go, you would get, well, they're right. They say you'd have a lot more clients if you just, didn't have all this stuff in here. And I'm going, are they not filling out the forms because they are a bad fit, right, for our company ethos or whatever? Or are they not filling out the forms because they're a pain in the butt and we shouldn't have all those forms there? But also knowing like these are really helpful to us and I want to try and be as helpful as possible. So,
well, I feel like a person that walks their own dog doesn't really think about what it's like to walk a complete stranger's dog.
Hmm.
Right. And I feel like also, there's a lot more to go into it than they think, right? They don't think about like, you know, they don't put together the fact that like your dog is going to respond differently to people inside its house than out on the sidewalk, right? They don't think about a lot of that stuff because they're not like, it's just not what they're focused on because it's their own dog and like they're subconsciously aware of its cues and the things that it's doing. And it's like they're aware of the answers to these questions, but they probably have never put them into words before because nobody's ever asked them the question like that. That's one possibility, right? The other possibility is that there are different types of dog owners, right? There is the dog owner who is very in tune with this stuff, and then there's the person that's just like, dogs are cool. I like dog. And that's kind of as far as it goes. They're not really they don't think about that kind of stuff because they didn't even know that it existed.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. And I feel like there are different types of pet owners. You know what I mean? They just are. There's people that they have pets for different reasons. They have pets because they just think they're cute, or they have pets because they, understand that this is a living thing and I'm responsible for its life and blah, blah, blah. Like, you know what I mean? Like there are this big spectrum of people. And so like, it could be one of those two things that are like, just walk the dog. Like, yeah, that's not quite how that works. Right.
Right.
These are also probably people that are like, my dog's fine. It's like pulling on the leash and like nipping at babies, right? And they're like, he's just curious. Like, no,
Right.
He has anxiety, aggression. Like, this is not like.
Yeah, it's hard to discern that. Is this just somebody who's, I don't like not. I'm going to say nonchalant about their pet, or is this somebody who's genuinely annoyed at this process? And that's we kind of have to discern that. But unfortunately, both of them
Have to fill out the forms anyway. Get over it.
Have to fill out the form. At which point, if they're not filling out the form, well then like you're not our client. And man, I tell you, it's pretty frustrating to be like being on the phone with somebody and they're like, yeah, that's what I want, and you're like, okay, great, and you fill out the form, and it's like radio silence. No. No, and it's like, gosh, what was it? Was it the form or was it something else or what is blah blah? So we're in this now, and the reason this is an issue is because we switched softwares. Previously, that thing was like our previous software was all like loosey goosey. Anybody came in, and we filtered them out on the back end. And so I think we're just seeing the misfit way more. It's more
prominent just because of the way it's working now. Yeah, that makes sense too.
Yes, that
it's
make
being
it
presented to you in a different light, so it's like more like the spotlight's on it more, right? It's like much more apparent. Like, what is this?
Yes, yeah, and you're like, that hurts. I don't like that. I'd rather not. So yes, I think that's what it is. But it's still like, oh, really? Fine, whatever.
What is annoying, right? When they're like, I want to do business with you. Okay, do this. No, like,
yeah.
Okay. I mean, you said you want. I don't understand. Like, you called me. I don't know what you want here. Like,
genuinely, that's what's happening, right?
What are you getting mad at me for? You called me. You wanted my service, and now you don't want to like do the thing that gives me the like makes you be able to have my service. Like, that's a little confusing, I guess. But I can see how it's like maybe unexpected, from those like it's just a dog, like okay, yeah, but your dog bites me. That's not going to go well for you. So like,
yeah, I'm going to be a bit angry, right? I'm going to be a bit angry. So.
Yeah. that makes sense.
Yeah, it just that's our most recent struggle really is now going, okay, now how do we now it's changing our thought process of like, okay, now how do I get it's now it used to be just like who are passionate people about their pets that want to blah blah blah. Now it's like who are passionate people about their pets that blah 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 and are okay with filling out lots of forms. Like now how do I talk to you on Instagram? It's like, oh
yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing too. Like, I mean, there is like, I don't know what the forms look like, so I can't speak on that, but like maybe there's some questions you could combine together or I don't know, but like who knows? Like that's a process for, that's a separate process altogether of making sure that you have the information that you need.
Yep.
And then like if there's duplicate information being like, okay, well this is the same as that, so we can like blah, whatever. But like that's the other process too of going through that whole thing and being like, oh, I don't really need that one, or I don't really need that one. So, whatever. But,
right.
Obviously, if you put it on there, it's important, right? So it's like, it's like when I make a test, right? Like I'm not putting questions on there that are like surprises or like I'm not putting questions on there that aren't important for the end goal, like other things that we want to do, right? Like they're on there for a reason. So like, but yeah, that's a rough one though. Also, don't have to be such jerks about it. Like, you could have more customers. Like, okay, cool. Are you gonna do it or not? Like, just like,
it's
what? Who cares? Like, I have more clients I know what to do with currently. So shut it.
It's fantastic. I love the like. Well, one person was like, "Well, I'm in digital marketing and blah blah blah," and I really think that you. And I was like, "Stop talking about my business. Like, you don't know."
If we were talking about digital marketing, then I would defer to you. But we're not talking about dog behavior. So
I've read all the books that are like, to have a premium service, the end user needs to do as little as possible to experience and reap the benefits. Like that's one of the things that makes things feel premium. I get it, right? That's why a luxury car services, you show up, you don't even tell them your name, right? For an oil change, they just whisk you away and you're in their system. And then you go sit and you have a latte and then your back gets massaged and then you come back in and they don't even tell you what's been done to the car, and you just drive away and you get billed automatically to the cards you have on file. Like I understand like that's a premium service, but like,
okay, here's what you do then. Ready? Charge everybody the premiumest price and just assume their dog is going to bite your face off. Right. And
yes, I know.
It's like your dog is going to kill me and a small child. I'm going to charge you more because it's a mystery and done. Here we go. Right. I'm going to charge you more because now I'm going to buy some of those like sleeves, right? That they train German
Kevlar bite sleeves.
Yeah, Kevlar bite sleeves. But I'm gonna I will forego this paperwork for you, but I am going to charge you more than if you filled out. Boom.
Yep.
Premium service acquired. There you go. Because you're taking a risk, so you should be charged more. You should charge more money.
Well, and I didn't know if like one of the thoughts that I did have was going, should I like not show them this form? Should I just show up to their home with like a pad of paper and just pretend like I'm thinking of these random questions off the top of my head, take my answers that they give me and go put them into the system and then just show them that magically here's a profile for you already said and done? Like I could do that, but I don't want to waste my time sitting in front of the person to then look at information and go, actually, this is not a good fit, right? Like I don't want to do that, to waste my time and their time
before you show up.
Yeah. Right? And then I'm like, well, do I go, okay, well, thank you for calling and thank you for the quick information. I'd like to schedule another phone call with you to go over additional information. Like, because it's like, it's just easier if they do it, but they don't know that yet because they haven't experienced it. So whatever.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe you should put okay in your opening of the questionnaire, right? Just make sure you have something that's like, in order to save us time on our visit, on our first home meeting where we get to meet face to face, go ahead and fill out this in advance so we can get right to business and we don't delay in getting started servicing your pet. Yeah.
Yes.
Bam. Put a little
I should do that.
twisterino on it. Like in order to get to dog walking faster and and whatever, like go ahead and fill this out in advance so that we can hit the ground running. People like that word, right? Those digital marketing people will like that. To hit the ground running. Have this done in advance.
I don't think I want that. Oh. No one wants to be hit.
That phrase. I hate that phrase. So don't put that in there. But something to that effect, right? Like make it seem like by filling this out now, it's going to benefit them whenever they have the face-to-face meeting. Right.
Yes.
Yeah. See, there you go.
Right. And I don't, and then I'm like, then I get self-conscious because I don't want to just word vomit about everything because I do that anyway. Like the other day, so just side note here, I took 7 phone calls today. None of them we could help, right? So like that's where some of this is coming from, right? Seven people. But I got a phone call the other day and I did my usual spiel and I was truthfully not very paying attention and it was a little like because here's what people go. They go, oh hi, I've never done anything like this before. We're really nervous. It's not normal for us, but I want you to.
That makes it sound like so sketchy. Like I've never done this before. It's like you're buying drugs, right? Like
yes,
seriously. Oh my gosh,
it's
I've never done this.
Yeah, they're going to ask where the drop is, right? And I'm like, oh, what?
Sort of illicit deal. Like, yo, I'm just.
And there's this build up, and then they go, well, I do want to know about your boarding services, and I'm like, huh, that's interesting.
Because I don't have those.
I've tried so many tactics. It's not even funny. Like at first I was like, I'm not going to start negative. I don't want to start my sentence by saying we don't do that, but let me tell you what we do. I was like, I'm not going to do that. So I'm like, oh, is there a particular reason you need that? And they're like, I'm going on vacation. And I'm like, right, okay. Like there's so many just like conversation trees that I've been down, and it all boils down to this. They're like, no, I'm not comfortable with that, or no, I don't like that. But one guy, I said, oh, is there a reason you're needing that? And he was like, no, that's just what we do. And I was like, oh, great, let me tell you about what we do. And I like rattled on, and he goes, yeah, that's all kind of Spanish to me. So I guess thanks. Have a good day. Bye. And I was like, oh.
Look, how is this confusing? Leave your dog at your house. I'll come to your house. I'll walk your dog. I'll feed your dog. I'll leave. Boom. Done. Like, I don't like.
I know.
Okay, so I think people have. Okay, I think I've cracked it here. I think people have a big misconception about what boarding a dog means. Right. So when people say, I'm going to board my dog someplace, they think that the dog is going to go be with somebody like 24/7. Right. What actually happens, this is not 100% of places. Okay. I'm aware of that. But generally, what's going to happen is your dog is going to go to a facility. They're going to stick him in a crate or like a kennel, like it, and then they're just going to leave him in there. And they're not going to, they're just going to leave him in there. And then like once a day, they'll come by and throw food at them. And then sometimes they have like a playtime. They put them in like a run. Some places just like they have a dog run. And that's the boarding. their little kennel goes to a dog run that's outside, and the dog can run on the run or come inside, and that's it. Some of them have like the play daycare situation, but it's only for like, it's still only like 20, 30 minutes they're played with, and then they go back in the kennel. Right? This is how dog boarding works. So, like, I don't understand how that is better than leaving the dog at their own house with their own food and their own bed and their own territory, and then a person coming there to see the dog in a much bigger area where they're more comfortable. Like, I don't understand that. Right? I don't understand how that is like, how boarding a dog is like the better option. Right? Now, this comes from my own personal experience as a pet owner, right? Our dog, um, right, Chuck had like he was like, he needed medicine. He needed, like, later in his life, right, he needed medicine. He needed like to eat certain food, otherwise it made him sick, right? Because he had like stomach stuff. So like, my like point of view is definitely heavily influenced by that experience of being like, I need to make sure that my dog has these things because that's what he needs to be healthy. Right. And if I just take him to board him somewhere, like, he might not get that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Whereas if somebody were able to come to my house and just like feed my dog the same food he always eats at the same time he eats every day and take him out to go to the bathroom, like, this is better. Right? Like, this is a better experience, right? He's gonna like it more. He won't be all stressed out. Like, he won't, like, you know what I mean? So like, my experience is based on my experience as a pet owner with my dog that was like experienced a lot of trauma and was like he didn't like people and stuff like that anyway. So like, this is just like the thing. This makes more sense to me. Like, I don't understand. Like, I think people think like boarding a dog is like some sort of like palatial experience, right? Where they get like all kinds of like fancy dancy stuff. And there are some boarding places that do that, right? I'm not saying that those don't exist, but like, on the whole, a lot of times it's like, dog goes to dog kennel, they sit there, maybe somebody comes by and feeds them. I mean, they're gonna feed them, but like, maybe they get played with, right? That's the part that's like, who knows if that's gonna happen? Who knows if they're getting, they're gonna come like spray the floor down. Like, this is seems to be like a worse experience than just leaving the dog in their own house.
And it's so, it is weird because one of the people who we walk their dog, like, we walk this person's dog, called me today and said, do you provide boarding? And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm just gonna throw my phone out the window right now. And I was like, no. And then I told him what we offered, and the next phrase from his mouth was, is that safe?
What do you mean, is that safe?
And I
not safe.
And I went, and my brain was like, what do you mean? Because in my mind, kenneling is like, okay, you have them exposed to other dogs in a random environment, multiple diseases around there.
Kennel cough is a thing that you can get.
Kennel cough. Also, bad. Hey, pet owners out there, just because you go to a kennel and there are people there during the daytime, does not
there at
mean,
night.
I mean, they are not. They watch them over TV, over a Wi-Fi camera. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Most of them don't have requirements in order to do that. And so you're just like left with them going, well, they're overnight. And sometimes they're last let out at like 6 p.m. and then they don't get back until like 9 or 10 the next day. Anyway, that's something.
This is what I'm saying. I think there's a very big misconception about what boarding means.
Well, and here's why people like boarding, and here's why they like daycare. Okay. The person, the owner, likes all of the photos they get of seeing their dog around other dogs. Period. End of story. That's it. They like the group shots that they get with their dog. We're playing run and chase with the other dogs. It gives them the ooey gooey butter feelings. Right. That's it.
So you need more dogs on staff
I guess.
right? To like walk with them. Is that what I'm hearing?
I guess that's it. I don't really know. Right. I don't know. It's still confusing to me. Then you layer in some other aspects of people who feel bad that their dog is being left alone overnight. You feel bad that
being left alone anyway.
Well, and like they're sleeping. What do you think your dog is doing while you're there overnight? It's not playing.
No.
Okay.
It's sleep.
So then the other aspect of this comes in where you go, okay, some people may go, I'm not comfortable letting a stranger into my home.
That I can understand. That makes sense.
Totally get this. Absolutely. And then that's when I say, I understand. That's why we,
background check,
training, pet first aid and CPR certification, right? We are bonded. We are licensed. We also carry specific insurance for this. Also, you didn't ask about this, but we carry workers' compensation. So in case one of my employees rips a toenail wide open on a baby gate in your house, they don't sue you and go to your homeowner's insurance policy. They come to me, right? Like, like I know you didn't ask about that, kind sir, but let me tell you, right?
That's true.
So, yeah, it's but getting people to that point, if they've got these rich ooey gooey feelings that they want to have, you can't crack that. You can't crack that through that. Only people who go, oh well, I'm really desperate, right? So that's where we're like, I'm like trying all these different tactics, and unfortunately, it's like each person is a new guinea pig, and they have their own wants, desires, and needs, so it's not replicable. But at least I'm trying these different avenues of like my choose your own adventure conversation of like, they said this, okay, and now I know why. When a company calls you and they're like, hi, we like a bank I was looking at switching internet companies. Shh, internet, stay on right now. Stay.
Don't make it angry.
But in a very creepy way, I entered they have to do the like enter your address to see if you have service here. Okay.
Oh yeah. We did that the other day too.
Okay. I did that. I got a phone call back from them. Now you may be asking, Collin, did you enter a phone number? The answer is no.
No, just the address. Yeah.
Just the address, right? Okay. And they said, hi, we noticed you were on our website and didn't order anything. Can we ask why? And my goal now is like, shut this down as fast as possible. Like, stop talking to me. And I said, thank you for calling. I'm not interested in switching my services. And
shopping.
Right. What did he say? He said, oh, well, they want to keep that conversation going. And I so detest and hate this that I desperately don't want to turn into this kind of person.
Yeah, true.
Right. But also, it's like, I kind of see now, like I know why, because they're trying to get information, figure out like if they can help you, if they're not. Also, they know the longer they keep you on the phone, the more likely you are to purchase something, and blah, blah, all the disgusting stuff that happens there. But it's like, anyway.
Well, they can do that, right? That's like you get like promotional emails from websites you just like visit. Like even if you didn't like order stuff from them, they're like, oh, hey, here's this thing. Are you still interested? You're like, no, I didn't even. What are you doing? Stop it.
Yeah.
Like I didn't buy anything from you. Quit that. Get out of here.
It's great. I love it. I don't love it.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
Yes. That's what we're having fun with.
That's very fun. Oh, I did think of one more thing I've been doing this week before we move on. I have been working on my pizza crust recipe. Dun, dun, dun!
Oh. What?
Yes, I have been cooking things. Look at this. Me, a person famous for not being able to cook things, has been cooking things. Aha! So I've been toying with pizza crust recipes. So we must say tonight, particularly delicious experiment happens.
Oh,
Yeah.
hey.
So I've just been sort of messing around and like practicing and learning how to make things. It's been very exciting. I made some garlic pasta the other day. Ooh, look at that. A thing I made using the power of the internet for good, making pasta for supper. That's what the internet. This is what the internet's really for.
Most excellent.
So yeah, that's the other thing I've been doing. Been doing that. But yeah, made some pizza tonight. So pretty good stuff. Pretty good. I found out, did some research, figured out what's going on with my pizza dough, why it's not so good. So gotta be more patient, man. Gotta be more patient. Gotta let the dough just sit there for like a day. Just put it over there. Yeah,
That
you just gotta
long?
leave it. Yeah.
No.
Just gotta, yeah. So this one recipe, yeah, you just put like, you just need like a little bit of yeast. Yeah. Just a little bit. And you put it over there. And you don't even, you like mix it up and you just leave it.
Don't even look at it.
Don't even look at it. Put it over there, leave it. Like we left it for a day. It was in the refrigerator for a part of that too, right? Like leave it out for a while to kind of start and you just throw it in the fridge.
Wild.
Boom. And it like actually, it like gives the yeast a lot more time to develop like naturally and like do its thing, right? If you put some of the stuff I read, like if you proof pizza dough like you do bread dough, it's like not real good. And it makes it way too heavy. And like the yeast just goes insane. And it's like way too much yeast. And it's actually like not great.
Ooh.
So this was much more successful this time. So yeah, so I've been doing making pizza dough. Hooray.
Okay. So what prompted the pizza dough? Because you were on a pasta kick and now you're into
well, I've been doing both, right?
Oh, fair enough.
I'm expanding my repertoire is actually what prompted this, right? It's like, okay, I made some pasta dough, made a couple pasta dishes, right? Like I said, I made some garlic oil pasta. I believe. Hold on. I'm going to apologize in advance to all Italians. Okay. My spaghetti aglio e olio, right? Garlic oil pasta.
Sure.
Made some of that. Very nice.
That's good.
And then expanding upon that. It's like, okay, I have made pizza before. So we're going to try to make it better. So that's the impetus there. So I'm just adding a list to things I can make, right? Which is still not a very big list. But here we go. Maybe that should be the first Oh Brother video series. Brandon cooks things badly. That's what we're going to But yeah, it's pretty good. Did some more experimenting. Did some too much like red sauce gives Susan really bad heartburn, right? Like the tomato acid is one of the things that gives her. So the go-to pizza topping recipe currently is no pasta sauce whatsoever. Again, Italians don't listen to this part. Okay, don't. But we just been using pesto instead.
Oh,
right. So like pizza, pesto, and then tonight I mixed in with the pesto some like other spices, some like garlic powder and some like basil and oregano and some little salt and stuff and some red pepper flakes. Mix it in with the pesto to make it more like saucy.
Yeah.
And then mozzarella. And then we did diced tomato because the diced aromas don't give her too bad a heartburn. And then black olive. And sometimes spinach, but we forgot that we didn't have any spinach. So it was very good. It's very like light. Very, very good. But it's really good. Like you don't even really notice there's no red sauce on it. So and less heartburn is always good. So that's bonus.
Well, nice. Well, that sounds good. That sounds. I mean, experimenting's always fun.
Yes, it is. And I was afraid this time it wasn't going to work because I tried a new, like I said, it's new. So I was very worried. But it actually turned out the best pizza dough yet. So I worried for nothing.
Well, I don't think anybody was making any pizza dough. But it was warm.
It was warm.
Welcome. In chapter 10.
That is true. Speaking, it's warm outside, and it's a warm welcome for Thorin, son of Thrain, son of Thror.
Yes, as we are reminded.
Of course. So yeah, this again, pretty short little chapters, right? These ones aren't too bad. But there's kind of the warm welcome is kind of a weird one, right? Did you find that as well? What did you think about this chapter?
Yes, this was odd. Again, one of not much action, but more just positioning and readying us for something else. But it is very odd because again, this is another one where it's like it's taking so much time. If you again, as I know last time we talked about this of like a few weeks passed or like and maybe a few, like blah, blah. Like that's all this chapter is. Really of like and like kind of at the end it feels like kind of overstayed their welcome and needed to leave.
Yeah, right. That's kind of what it was doing. But like immediately you do get like we're starting to get some foreshadowing, right? About this. Cause like in this chapter, like they come to the thing, Bilbo, they're getting over to Lake Town. When they're right before they let him out of the barrels, Bilbo sees the mountain for the first time and immediately doesn't like it. He immediately has this sense of like, oh, like this like foreboding sense of like, oh, I don't want to go there. Right? Yeah, it seemed to frown at him and threaten him as it drew even ever nearer. So like we like immediately right at the beginning of the chapter we have this like, oh, okay, we have some foreboding. Like we're moving forward, but it's he's been through a lot of stuff already, but like the sight of this mountain kind of gives him a really uneasy feeling. And that's saying a lot, being where he's come from, right? He was in a goblin cave. He was almost eaten by trolls. He met Gollum in the dark lake. He killed a bunch of spiders. He was in a dungeon, and the mountain is giving him a really big sense of dread. That's bad, right? Like,
yeah, he's not really in a good. It's just this increasing foreboding, bad mental space for him right now.
Yeah, I really think so. And like you said, the rest of this chapter, like a lot of this is just like talking about getting them all out of barrels and about how upset they were to be in a barrel. And Bill still sasses him. It's like, what? Did you have a better plan? I know it sucked, but come on. This is your quest. Get up. Why am I doing all the work? Which is very funny, right? But now, right, we have this, all this. They get the thing. They decide to go into Lake Town because they're like, where should we go? And like, well, there's really only one place to go. Right here. there is nowhere else.
This is what we
so
have.
I guess we could go there because
yes,
that's all that there is. And now we actually get another perspective for a little bit, right? Not necessarily like a character perspective, but like now we hear from the people of Lake Town, right? We hear like them talking, and like before they get there, they kind of it mentions a little bit like, oh, the people of Lake Town, only the really old people kind of remember that there were dwarves there.
Yeah.
Only the older people talk about the dwarves coming to reclaim the mountain. right? And they want that kind of because trade is drying up, right? Not a lot of trade going on in Lake Town. Their economy is suffering because the not a lot of trade is coming from the Forest River, and they're kind of mad at the elves because they're not like taking care of it or whatever. Not a lot of trade coming from the south. There's been some flooding and some stuff, and so like it's just kind of downtrodden, right? And so the older people remember the good old days, right? When Dale was still around and the dwarves lived in the mountain and traded with everybody. So only they really remember that time, right? And like it's mentioned somewhere in here specifically that like the young people didn't even believe there was a dragon.
Yes.
Which is a problem, right? Like
they're a bit problematic.
Yeah. But like they don't like this is all they've ever known is this like this time. And so like they don't have any context for what the before time was like. And they kind of don't believe some of the stories because they're like, it couldn't have been that great. Look how bad it is now, right? Like, yeah, you have some generational differences in Lake Town, which is interesting, right? It's an interesting detail to throw in there that these events happened just long enough ago that only the older people remember them going on. So I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah, and I know throughout this too, like, well, I backing up just a little bit. I like how this introduction takes place of how we get the Thror, son of Thrain, son of blah blah, and he's talking to the guard, and no,
that's right after the part I was talking about. That's what.
Oh yes, yeah. Sorry. Okay, yeah, and he's going take us to your master, and the captain goes, oh, he's at his feast, and then he goes, then all the more reason to take us to him.
Yeah,
it's like, and you're just taken right off into that. But yes, it is the set of there are these old songs, there's things people don't remember, and so it's interesting how that is set up as our characters walk into that, right? Because we need to be aware of why people are going to react the way they're going to react. We need to know why this is a big deal to people, and that and what a stir and commotion that is going to cause as they come into this of like, yeah, most of the people alive don't believe any of this. And so it kind of sets yourself up for going, yeah, how is this going to go? Like, what are people going to expect or think or otherwise?
Yeah, and it's even it says here, it's talking about even the master didn't really believe. Like he's like, because Thorin comes in, I am Thorin, son of Thrain, son of Thror, and they're like, really? Oh. All right, really? Maybe? Is that true? Asked the master, right? As a matter of fact, he thought it far more likely than the return of the king out of the mountain that if any such person ever existed, I guess you could be their son because I didn't really think the guy would come back. So like, so it's, the fact that like they even show up claiming to be this person is like kind of doubted. They're like, really? I didn't think that was real. Right. Like, I didn't, and, Thorin's like expecting everyone to know who he is. And they're like, what? Are you sure?
Right.
I don't know if I believe you.
Odd. Yes.
But yeah, they kind of do their best to convince them that they are them, right? And they kind of, go into the feast, and the feast, they sing the song, right? They, talk about it's like the history a little bit of the thing. They routed the rest of the dwarves in. And people welcome them because they start dreaming about, like, it says like they almost immediately imagine like the lake just turned gold because they were imagining like trade resuming, and they think like, well, if this person really is who he says he is, this is a boon for us, right? Because it will make us more prosperous. So I guess we should be happy they're here, right?
Well, and then they break into song, singing some old songs and some new ones, right? Of, as you said, like they get really caught up of like sudden death. The dragon's just going to be dead, right? And there's going to be the rich presents that are going to be flowing from the mountain, and everybody's gets immediately caught up, and they don't quite care, I guess, really who this person is or whether they say or not, but they just get caught up in, yeah, now this thing is going to happen. It's going to be great.
Yeah, I like that sentence there where it says these were largely inspired by the master and did not particularly please the dwarves.
But now we get some character insight into the master, and like where he's really good at his job, right? He's really good at staying in power and keeping people on his side.
Yeah. That's it. Because I mean, it feels like that's already the kind of person he is, because like if the whole town is kind of like in shambles and he's at a feast, like those are incongruous statements. Right? So even with that line, we know what kind of person we're dealing with, right? Not exactly a great dude, probably, right? Like, what do you mean a feast? Like, these people don't have any food, and he's like, yes, I'm having a feast. Like, what? But Bilbo, through all of this, like the dwarves are getting pumped up because they can see the mountain and they're excited, and the people of Lake Town are excited along their initial arrival here. And Bilbo, not so much, right? Even though it talks about here that the dwarves are continuing, the good feelings toward Bilbo are growing. Right here, they drank to his health and they patted him on the back and they made a great fuss over him, which was just as well, for he was not feeling particularly cheerful.
Yes.
Right? He had not forgotten the look of the mountain, nor thought of the dragon. And he had, besides, a shocking cold. So like he's sick.
I love that. Lest we forget. And also he's very cold.
Like he is sick, right? Still, but also this, like you can kind of like he's not. This looking at the mountain has affected him somehow. Like he looks at that and goes, I don't want to go there. So he seems to be the only one with like a big sense of foreboding at the moment, right? Nobody else has voiced a concern. Nobody is upset about seeing this, right? But he doesn't really. He's not into this, right? He is not excited. Any thoughts?
Sorry.
That's all right.
I had something. I still have something stuck in my throat. Continue.
Oh, that's okay. I'll give you. But after that episode, we still see that the master is like, I don't really care who these people are, if they're who they are. We just want, this to go good. And then we, at the very end here, we know that word travels back to the Elf King.
Yes.
That they're out, because the other thing is that when they walk into the feast, some elves are there, and they're like, "What? Hold on, why are you here? You're supposed to be."
And they were worried,
dungeon.
right? They were like, "Hold on," and that they said that they were worried that the Elven King had made some grave mistake, and I don't know. I assume, did they mean he had made a mistake in capturing him, and like having wronged him in that way, or do they mean that they had made a mistake in, maybe they thought he was let go, right? That kind of thing. Like I was unsure what they thought the mistake was.
Yeah, I think it's sort of ambiguous, really, because I wasn't really sure either. But I mean, yeah, maybe he was let go. Like, oh, he's like, how did they get out? They're so surprised. Yes. Like, nobody escapes from the elves' dungeon. Like, what are you doing here, right? So that's going. So the Elf King hears about this. He's not very happy. He didn't really believe that they could beat the dragon anyway. So he was just like, whatever. And he sends out his spies. And then, like, kind of towards the end of the chapter here, right after that, we get the master was surprised, and he was kind of, he was sort of starting to believe that Thorin is who he said he was, right? And he was like, maybe he is gonna go. And then he starts getting worried, like, what's gonna happen if they go up there and the dragon is still there? Like, that thought enters his mind. Finally, he's like, oh wait, hold on.
Right. But
What if they go up to fight the dragon and lose?
but he also, they either, something would be found out, but he's mostly concerned with that they're rather expensive to keep, right? At the end of the day, he's like, this is quite costly. You're eating lots of food. Plus, nobody's working because they're so excited for you.
Yeah, everybody else is celebrating. So he's like, oh no. What little trade we do have is not happening.
Right. And I love how he has this thought where he's like, what's he say? He goes, let them go and bother Smaug and see how he welcomes them. He thought, because he's tired of welcoming them, so he'll let Smaug go deal with them.
Yeah.
And then he turns and goes, he turns and you can just see what a politician of like, now you must go and claim what's yours and leave me, please.
Yeah. So we're getting a peek here at this master guy who is, he doesn't really seem just like, he's not real great, right? We're just getting just enough information on him to know that he is not really a very trustworthy guy that you want to like hang out with, which, I think probably also worries Bilbo a little bit because Thorin is just like, yeah, buddy, blah, blah. And Bilbo's like, no.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really like this guy.
Yeah, he's ready to go.
Right. Yeah. And even through all this stuff, right? All this stuff, they bade him farewell. There's a great big send off and blah, blah. In the last line of the chapter, the only person thoroughly unhappy was Bilbo. Right. Yes. He is not, he's real not excited to go closer to this mountain.
Really not. Yeah.
He does not have a good feeling, right? At all. And that brings us to chapter 11.
Doorstep time.
Time.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're leaving this like awkward send off. Bilbo's moody. Everyone else is super excited and pumped and launched, and super ready to go. And then they got to disembark. And it seems like yet again, pretty quick, their spirits kind of drop.
Yeah, the dwarves are a moody bunch, right?
Turns out,
like they are quite moody. They get up there, they take the river up towards the mountain, right? They rather quickly get up to like they're going up the river, and then like the scenery starts to change quite a bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was little grass, and before long there was neither bush nor tree, and only broken and blackened stumps to speak of, ones long vanished. They were come to the desolation of the dragon.
Oh, what a wonderful name, by the way. Like,
yeah, right? Like
desolation. Like, okay.
So it's interesting, right? From last chapter, we have like all of these big groups of people like sort of doubting that this is even a true story.
Yes.
Right. We have people in Lake Town doubting that there ever was a dragon. And right here, like 4 paragraphs in to chapter 11, we have visible evidence.
Yes.
Of dragon activity. So it's like,
which unfortunately none of the Lake Town people saw because they they left.
A couple of them did because they still had like 2 guys with them at this point, right? But they turned around quite quickly after this.
Yes.
But like, yeah, they now have very, very clear evidence. Like if anybody was doubting, if Bilbo was doubting there was a dragon at all, here we go. Right. We saw it.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah. So we have some pretty bad, devastation, right? And then they keep going and they find the old watchtower. Is that what it is? Yeah, ancient houses, towers, and walls. Here lies all that is left of Dale, said Balin.
Mhm.
The mountainsides were green with woods, and the sheltered valley rich and pleasant in the days where the bells rang in that town. Uh, and he looks sad and grim at this. And so we found more evidence. Like, here's the town. There was a town here. Mm,
Not so much.
yeah.
Yeah.
But then the rest of this chapter is this them like trying to find this door, right? So again, they're all in good spirits. They get up here, they're pretty excited, and then they can't find anything and they get like real grumpy. It's very weird, right? Like
They really do. Again, they get gloomy immediately. And yeah, they're very, very dejected as they walk around.
yeah. And they're, Bilbo is the only one that looks at the map. So he's like obsessively looking at the map and trying to figure out what's going on. He finds this very interesting because we know that Bilbo likes maps and stuff already. It kind of reminds you that he just thinks that kind of stuff is interesting.
Yes.
And so, they look around. And again, this is a long time of just like being out in the wilderness, sort of like wandering.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
It's a lot.
Like, it is a lot. We have some stuff here, and I get a side note here. I can't help. I don't. This isn't like really anywhere in like official stuff, but I really feel right sometimes when I'm reading about the dwarves, I cannot help but compare them to like biblical stories of like the Jewish diaspora, right?
Oh,
Like
right.
Wandering, looking for the home, this kind of thing, right? It really feels like that. It's a very like, it's like this big illusion the whole time. It's like very unsaid, but it just feels like that. It feels like kind of the inspiration for these dwarven people, right? Like it's just a connection that I made to this like a lot, and I don't know if anybody else gets that or if it's just me reaching at straws. But like,
is that the wandering? Is that the not like people people without a home set to wander, or what do you think exactly?
Yeah, I think that's what it is, right? Like the set to wander, the sort of like because like the biblical stories that when the Jewish people were doing this, and then they were very like, they would go to a place and then they were like unwelcome and then like thrown out. Like this is what happens to this is the plight of the dwarf as well, right?
Yeah,
it has this sort of like mirrored image, like to me, like it just seems like an allusion to that kind of those kind of stories about that, right? That's what the dwarves sort of symbolize to me in this Middle Earth land. They do feel very much like that, right? And just some of the allusions, some of those biblical stories of also wandering forever, not without a home. That's the big one, obviously, right? But like, but taking up residence in certain areas, the whole like them and the elves not getting along thing, right? Like that kind of stuff. It just that's having to wander away from that kind of stuff. That's just kind of what it feels like. I don't know how intentional any of that was, but like that is an illusion that I get when I read about the dwarves, right? That's a connection that I make, rightly or wrongly. That is something that I find like very strongly every once in a while. That kind of thought pops in my head, like, oh yeah, this seems like
makes sense.
Yeah.
You can feel that.
Yeah. So anyway, back to wandering on the mountain. They find a path. Right? They just find like, hey, look, where's this little path go? It's got some stairs. It just goes up, and so they're like, this must be it.
Yeah. Yes. So Billy and Killy and the spry young Bilbo.
Yes. Scamper up there. And they find like what they think is probably this door, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just because it's very like, it's a secret door, so it's like not going to be obvious, but it's like it's like just a big part in the wall that's like extremely flat and smooth. So they're like, this is probably it. We should come back tomorrow because it's getting dark, right? So they're like, we should come back tomorrow.
Yes. Yep. And then they reset camp like upon the threshold, right?
Yeah, they move closer because they were down by the river, I guess, and they move closer to the path, not all the way up, right? Because they couldn't carry the stuff up the stairs because it's too steep, but they do move closer to the thing to be close to it so they can inspect it more. But then, like, they can't figure out how to get in, and so they turn morose once again.
Yeah, yet again, more gloom.
And they start like chastising Bilbo. They're like, "Aren't you doing anything?" He's like, "You said to think, so I'm thinking. Leave me alone."
Yeah, he's saying, well, you said sitting on the doorstep and thinking would be my job, not to mention getting inside. So I'm sitting and thinking. Yes. Yeah. And I love he said, but I'm afraid he was not thinking much of the job, but of what lay beyond the blue distance. Right now, we've gotten yet another chance of him thinking about home.
Well,
right?
I mean, he's looking west.
Yeah.
Up on top of the mountain. And he can see all the places they have been. Right. He can see the black wall of Mirkwood. And in the distance, in which he sometimes thought he could catch a glimpse of the misty mountain, small and far. And he can see, like, now that he's up high, like he can like physically see how far away from home he is.
Yeah.
Right. And that is an interesting part here where he is sitting and thinking, but not about the mountain. Right. He would really rather be anywhere but this mountain right now because of his foreboding. And he can almost see, it's like he can almost see home. Right. That's what he's kind of thinking about. He's like, I'm so far away from my home right now.
Right.
Like, and I can't even, I can see so far and I still can't quite see where I come from. Right. And so that I think is weighing on him like right now. And then it's like, he's just so far away, But yeah, he said he was not thinking much about the job for what lay beyond the blue distance, the quiet western land and the hill and his hobbit hole under it. So he's really distressed by this. But even so, he is still sitting there thinking, and then it's the next day, right? He goes back out there. He's still thinking again. And all of a sudden he goes, he gets an idea, right? He like understands. It clicks. The map, the riddle, the thing on there, he solves it. And he starts, yelling, come here, come here, come here, come here, come here. And they all run over there. And, he explained to them, except for Bomber, who was, of course, asleep, obviously,
Sorry, Bomber.
As is his way. Poor Bomber, sleep napping through the whole adventure here. He understands what's happening, right? And it's not, they don't recap it here for us, which is interesting choice. But when you go back and read the thing about the last light of Durin's Day or whatever, he realizes this is moon light, right? Perhaps emboldened by his riddle battle in the cave, right? We see what a quick-witted puzzle solver Bilbo is. And so, of course, he was able to ponder this out. And just as, because, they probably gave up too early before. They're like, oh, it's getting dark. We got to go. So he's like, no, stay here. And there's a cracking noise and a keyhole appears.
Dun. And now he's frantic. Yeah. The key. Where's Thorin?
Yeah, where's Thorin?
Thorin, I love how he says, the key, cried Bilbo, where is Thorin? And then the next line is, Thorin hurried up.
Yeah, like far away, being morose somewhere, who knows? But yeah, this door opens, right? A door 5 feet high and 3 feet broad was outlined, which is huge for a hobbit. That's a little short for me to walk through. You would never make it through that door, but
Yeah. Nope.
but as to even increase the sense of foreboding, right? The end of this chapter, I love this. Right. I love this, like painting the scene here. It seemed as if the darkness flowed out like a vapor from the hole in the mountainside.
Yes.
In the deep darkness in which nothing could be seen lay before their eyes, a yawning mouth leading in and down.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not going to. Right? Like this is how the chapter ends. We've had all this build up. We know Bilbo doesn't like this. This is built up as a place of foreboding when he saw it from far away. As we get closer, we see the desolation of the dragon.
Mm-hmm.
We see that this is not just a great place to be. The dwarves, maybe the dwarves are affected by this too. Maybe this is why they're so morose all of a sudden, right? Because they're very dour as well.
Yeah.
So
again,
perhaps that is, perhaps they're being affected also, and they don't like notice it like Bilbo does. But then to be left with that at the end, yes. I just love that language. It's very evocative of how much you don't want to go in there.
Yes. Yeah, and that is a good point about the moodiness of it, because I know later we know, or we are informed about the effects of a dragon
of why
right on people and things. So that I wouldn't be surprised if there is some of that, in addition to the dwarves' tendency to just be moody in general, right?
I mean, yeah, that's not helping. Let's be real.
No. So, yeah, that description is great, and yeah, it says both, like, this is not a nice place to be. You don't want to be here. So, yeah, get ready.
Yeah, and I just like the juxtaposition that we have pretty close together of Bilbo wistfully looking out to the west, to home, to where, where the good things are. Mm-hmm. All the good things are in the west, right? And then when I look in this mountain, I look down the black hole, right? This like black leaching out, like it's so black and foreboding, like the thought of the blackness oozing out into the moonlight, right? Like this is very clear, like not a good place to go.
Yeah.
And just that juxtaposition of Bilbo looking off in the distance to where it's much brighter and looks much more pleasant and far, even though it's far away, home is that way. And right here, right now, I don't want to be here because this place is terrible. It's very interesting, right? It's also very interesting that, just Tolkien wise, that we're looking westward back towards the good things, back towards the Hobbit, right? Because, of course, Valinor, the land of the gods, is across the western sea, right? So that's also just an interesting fact there. Like, looking back towards the west, towards the goodness, right?
Yep. So a little bit of a not really shadowing or foreshadowing, but just thematically.
Yeah, just a little thematically
fitting it all in.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's where we're left here. Again, I just love the end of that chapter. It's so good. But it is a definite cliffhanger. Get it? Because they're up on a cliff. Get it? Isn't that funny? Right?
Yes.
We do. So we will see how that goes next time. I did forget to mention it, but it's somewhere we also glossed over randomly. They're talking about how they missed Gandalf. And like it's parentheses, the narrator's like, little would they know, but Gandalf was presently done with his business, and we shall see if he comes back later. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, right? Like,
yeah, like nothing.
I thought that was really funny. Just like a little.
Little did they know.
Little did they know.
It's good.
But for now, we are left forebodingly on the steps of blackness.
Womp.
Da-da-da.
Very good. Well, lots to look forward to.
Not if you're Bilbo.
No. Well, I mean, there's a lot to look forward to, and there's a lot to think about and consume your mind. So
that's true.
So, yep.
But he's not looking forward to going in there.
No,
he knows now that he has to do some burgling. He's not excited.
Not even a little bit. So. Well, we'll see. We'll pick back up there.
All right.
He has to do. Very good.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, love you.
Love you too.
Bye.
Bye.